Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I got you guys the new top 5 meta loadouts you need to be using. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun here today, we're going to be taking a look at the AS Val. Truly one of the most effective sniper supports you can run. Really good for close range, mid range. It's got a crazy bullet velocity. This is not really used as an actual AR, more of a hybrid. So between like an AR and an SMG. So let's get into it and show you guys how to build this thing out correctly. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the barrel section, and what we're going to do is we're going to throw on the suppressed gain twist barrel. What this does is gives us more bullet velocity. Of course, this is naturally going to stay off the radar since the AS Val is suppressed by default. You can take a look at it. It does increase our bullet velocity by about 50%, which is absolutely massive. So that's really, really nice. And you can see your damage at effective range is 48.3 meters. So while this is going to be great for close range combat, you're also still going to be able to absolutely beam people at a pretty solid range, because that's relatively speaking an assault rifle range. But now we're building this out to be more of a hybrid, so you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. The only reason people don't use it for long range is because the recoil gets kind of bad, so there's not really a way around that, unfortunately. So we just have to use it kind of as a bit of a different style gun. So we're gonna throw that on there. Next up, on the barrel section, we're gonna go down here and we're gonna throw on the Ranger foregrip, and that's just primarily because we're using it as our, pretty much like our sniper support. So horizontal recoil control and sprinting movement speed. We like to have that sprinting movement speed when we're using something for close range, as if you're using it with a sniper that I can show you guys here a little bit later in the video, you're gonna want to have, something that's just gonna move around a little bit faster. If you feel like the recoil is going to get you too much, throw on the vertical foregrip and you guys will be pretty much taken care of in that regard and be able to hit some more steady shots at a bit of a longer distance. Otherwise, throw on the Ranger and you guys will be good to go. Magazine, we're gonna go throw on extended mag 2, and the reason we're not throwing on extended mag 3 is just because this is 55 rounds in the mag versus 50, and there's more cons to this. Like, I don't like that. I mean, it's a decent amount of cons for an extra 5 rounds in the mag, which just doesn't make sense to me. Like, we're using this for close to medium range. We don't need this to be super slow and sluggish. If this is a true assault rifle build, I'd say, yeah, throw on extended mag 3. I mean, because you're using it for long range and it doesn't really matter. But we're using this for close range and medium, so it does matter. So we're gonna throw this on there and that'll be perfectly fine. It'll take care of you guys. Rear grip section, we're gonna throw on the ergonomic grip. This is gonna help us with our slide to fire, dive to fire, and aim down sight speed. I ran this exact build I'm showing you guys, by the way, on Rebirth, and I used it running around control and at medium range, and I dropped like 45 kills with it or something like that. I almost dropped a 50 bomb using this exact one. So like, trust me, this is really good for that close and medium. And then lastly, in the stock section, to really kind of balance this thing out, no pun intended, we're using the balanced stock. So strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and aim walking movement speed. All great things, all wonderful things. This is going to truly make this a really, really effective gun to use with a sniper rifle, or you could probably just run this as a secondary AR almost. I don't know, some of you guys be making some real wacky loadouts out there, but this right here is wonderful. Try this out. Next up, we're showing you guys probably the #1 fastest TTK SMG in all of Warzone right now. That is the Compact 92. This thing is absolutely insane, and you guys want to be using this, or you should be using this. So we're gonna skip the optic section. We don't ever need an optic on this thing. We're actually gonna go straight into the barrel, just because I'll show you guys this. We're gonna be going down to the very bottom here and using this integrated suppressor barrel. This right here is kind of a cheat code on the Compact because it gives us bullet velocity, it gives us damage range, and it is a suppressor. So you can see our bullet velocity increased 15%. Our damage range, that is actually accurate without me selecting it, is 15.2 meters. And if we go over here to the long barrel, which gives us the most damage range out of anything in this category, it only gets us to 15.8 meters. So that being said, we only gain 0.6 meters of effective damage range with a long barrel, and with 1,091 round per minute fire rate, you're not gonna notice that. Like, it's just unnoticeable. So you're just going to want to run the integrated suppressor barrel and basically get a 3-for-1. I mean, who doesn't want a suppressor? Keeps you off the radar and increase your damage range and bullet velocity. You might as well run that. And it helps also just because there is some muzzle flash with this gun. So it kind of helps, almost a bit of a 4-for-1 if you want to look at it like that. So slap that bad boy on there. Now it's going to move on down here to the underbarrel section, which is once again going to be the Ranger foregrip. I run this pretty much exclusively on all my SMGs. Don't really feel the need to run something else. Maybe with the exception of the C9, it's got that weird horizontal recoil, so I will maybe throw on the vertical foregrip for that C9, but everything else I'm just running the Ranger. Magazine section, we're throwing on extended mag 2, not extended mag 3. Once again, this is a scenario in which we're using this for close range, so having the extra rounds in the mag, getting up to 60 rounds, it's cool. I'm a 60-round mag kind of guy, but overall you should just be running the 50. Less cons. 50 rounds is still plenty enough for an SMG. It's not worth it to go down here and have all these extra penalties for an extra 10 rounds. I believe 50 is fine. Rear grip section, we're gonna throw on the ergonomic grip. This is just, what I always run for my SMG, so I'm not gonna explain this one here once again. And then lastly, in the stock section, we have, realistically speaking, 3 good options. First one being the no stock. I really like the no stock personally. It's awesome. The infiltrator stock is probably my least favorite out of these 3, and then the balanced stock is the other one. So if I'm gonna run this, to be like peak effectiveness for myself and probably everyone else out there, I say the no stock is like probably the best thing to run on this gun. And then otherwise, the balanced stock is going to be your other really solid options. I say there's probably like the balanced stock and the no stock are like your top 2 options, and then the infiltrator would fall kind of down below that. So can't go wrong really either way, but for me, I run the no stock and I find it to be awesome. So go ahead and try this build out. It's for real gonna fry. Next up is the Cypher 91. I know this has been our long running meta gun, and of course with the addition of Verdansk and all the changes there, I'm assuming that's gonna change, especially considering we have, the Kilo, the AMAX, we're going to have the HDR, even so I think the OTS9 get leaked. So we're definitely going to have some meta changes there, just with those being added in, and some different, meta buffs and nerfs. I'm looking forward to them really switching it up here. But anyways, as far as your optic goes, this is one of those guns where you can realistically run just about any optic you want. So you can run the Kepler Microflex, you could run the Merlin Mini. It really does not matter. I would say that pretty much you want to stick between, like these red dots, and at maximum you want to go down here to the Willis 3 times. So if the Willis 3 times on down, like, or I guess up in this case, is basically going to be what you're going to choose from. My go-to is this Volzinski Reflex right now. I really enjoy running this, so I'm going to tell you guys to go ahead and run this, but I think the most effective ways to run this are probably Kepler, Volzinski. You can run the Kepler red dot, that's really good as well, and then the 2 and 3X are going to be your prime choices. Anything else after this, these are just going to be a little bit too wacky and they're not going to be effective. So go ahead and choose one of the ones I'm suggesting, and you really can't go wrong with them. So I'm just going to choose this, as this is my go-to right now. Muzzle section, we're throwing that compensator. Helps the absolute most with vertical recoil control. You guys definitely need to have that on here if you want to be an absolute laser beam. This is, the truly most effective AR in the game, so you want to make sure you're hitting your shots. Barrel section, we're throwing that gain twist barrel. This is just the best one in here. Puts you out to 1134 meters a second. You can see your damage at effective range, not the absolute craziest, right? But your damage distribution is really, really solid, and when you hit those shots, you're going to be able to take people down very, very fast. I did experiment for a while with the reinforced barrel, because it puts you out to 55 meters essentially, but I do think the bullet velocity, having it below 1,000, you do feel that quite a bit. And I'm also really hoping they buff the bullet velocity of a lot of these guns just in general, considering Verdansk is quite a big map, and guns back in the day used to have a very, very fast bullet velocity. So vertical foregrip here, we're going to throw on the horizontal, or not, my bad. We're throwing on the vertical foregrip here for the underbarrel section. Started stumbling over my words there. But this helps our horizontal recoil control. So this gets you, the absolute most you can have, which is really awesome. So go ahead and throw that on there. It's an AR, so this is what we look for. We're not going to go for the Ranger like we did for the AS Val. That is a hybrid, it's used for more close range. So that was the reasoning behind that. This, we're using it for long range exclusively, or medium to long, right? You don't want to get caught up in close range using this. Magazine, we're gonna go down here for our last attachment basically and throw an extended mag 2. This is gonna get you out to 60 rounds in the mag, which is awesome, and it does exactly what it's supposed to. So you guys want to go ahead and run this exact build and you will have great success. Now for one of my personal favorite SMGs, the KSV. This is just useful in so many scenarios, kind of like the AS Val. You can build it out to be more sniper support. I use this as a primary SMG, I'm gonna be running around, sliding around, using it up close. It's really great for that. So let's hop in here and show you guys how to build that. First thing, barrel section, we're throwing the long barrel just to get us the maximum damage range. Unfortunately, there's no integrated suppressor barrel, for this gun. So we're gonna throw on the long barrel, and that will actually, that gets us out to 19.6 meters, which is really great. Honestly, that's probably the farthest out of any SMG we got here, or just about as far as any SMG. I'm not counting the AS Val as an SMG because that's double plus, but we have the long barrel, which does what it should. On a barrel section, we're gonna go throw on the Ranger foregrip. I know some people might be tempted to run the vertical foregrip on this gun just because they use it on ground loot. Just the vertical foregrip is on all the ground loot KSVs and it's super easy to control. So if that is something kind of what you're leaning towards, go and run the vertical. It's not gonna make or break this build, but I'd say largely speaking, the KSV's got great movement. So we're trying to lean into that a little bit, which the Ranger foregrip is gonna help us with that. Magazine, we're gonna throw on extended mag 2 here. This gets us 50 rounds in the mag, so we're gonna be perfectly happy with that. Really, I say just about anything past 40 to 45 in a SMG magazine is perfectly fine. That's really what you're looking for. So when you get out to that, 50, 60 round mark without acquiring a bunch of penalties, that is truly awesome. Rear grip section, we're gonna throw on the ergonomic grip. I really have not switched off the ergonomic on my SMGs in quite some time. Just the reason being is like I'm sliding around a good bit. I'm not like YY sliding around, like doing all the crazy spinning around, stuff and missing all my shots, right? Like I'm sliding for movement and gain and like to be able to, have people miss their shots on me. And this really does help you out when you're trying to compete against people that maybe will be sweating it. So this will keep you very competitive at those close ranges. Now for the stock section, I really enjoy running the infiltrator stock on this. I think it's super sick. And then you guys can go for the balance stock, kind of like, the compact where there's 3 great options. You can go for the no stock as well. If you want more movement speed and you don't really care about that, aim walking movement speed, which is something on the KSV I find I actually quite like is the aim walking movement speed. So go ahead and throw on the infiltrator. That's going to be like my primary option. Secondary is going to be the balance and third is going to be the no stock. It just kind of depends on the gun and the characteristics of the gun, but overall, I think you can't go wrong with any of these 3 that I've mentioned. So infiltrator for me, but this right here is going to be my best build. And for our final gun here today, I actually just recently made a video on this, the FJX Imperium. This is a really solid sniper rifle, as a lot of these have that great one-shot headshot kill potential that I just don't see people really using. So let's show you guys how to build this thing out. It'll be really, really effective as an aggressive sniper and have more range than the Kar 98K. So first thing in the muzzle section, we're gonna go down here. I just looked at it before I took the attachments off to the 19th attachment, the monolithic suppressor L. You guys could probably run one of these other suppressors as they essentially all do the same thing. If you take notice that the BO6 guns have like 5 or 6 attachments and we have 30 down in here. So they kind of consolidated, dumbed it all down. And so everything doesn't have an individual characteristic. Now for the MW2, MW3 guns, I kind of wish they, didn't do that, but I guess it makes sense given the general meta, what they're going for. But the monolithic suppressor and these other ones in here will work out fine. I just chose the monolithic, so slap that on there. Barrel section, we're gonna throw on this Fahrenheit 29 barrel. This is the most effective one in here. You're not going to get anything more with any of these other barrels. That also gives you the least amount of downsides too. So that is really nice. So go ahead and slap that on there. And we put this out here, we're at 72.4 meters, which is like farther than the Kar 98K. The Kar 98 gets out to about 67 at maximum. So this is going to be more effective. And at every point, whenever you shoot somebody, it will at max be a 2-shot. You're going to get that 1-shot headshot because it's 300 damage no matter what. And then obviously at the other distances, it'll go down to about a 2-shot largely. So you'll really put someone at 1 shot, when you hit them, but it'll be really solid to use. I actually quite enjoyed using the sniper, and the scope on by default is good. So you don't have to change that. Now we're gonna go down here into the stock section. We have to skip all these other ones. We're gonna go throw on this FJX Kilo Tac stock. This is just helping us their overall mobility. You do get that flinch resistance con, not the biggest, issue in the world. It does speed you up, and you really don't notice the flinch resistance like being extra bad. Obviously, if you're getting shot at when you're scoped in, it's gonna, get you regardless, but this will still be a really good attachment. Now we're gonna go to the laser section to speed ourselves up here. The Kimura RYL33 laser light. This just totally speeds you up. And this, I'd say this is an attachment where, let's say you don't want to have a laser. Let's say you want to have a custom scope. This would be an attachment where you could forego using it and go choose your scope of choice, and you won't be, down bad or something like that. So go ahead and, switch this attachment out for something else. If you want something else like a bolt, a scope, anything else, don't use this, go for something else. But this is what I'm running on my build, and I think it's really good. Now, lastly, in the ammunition side of things, this is not really something you should be switching out. the .408 high velocity rounds, this gets you to 1358.9 meters a second in bullet velocity. It doesn't increase your damage range, but your overall, hit scan like feel at range is going to be significantly increased because of the Kar 98. What everyone else is kind of using, it's at like sub 1,000, right? It's like below 1,000, and this is almost 1,400. So definitely a very large difference, and you will notice being able to like absolutely beam people and have the shots hit very, very fast. So it's nice to have that. So go ahead and slap that on there, and that right there is going to be my full build. Hope you guys enjoyed today's top 5. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.